Well, Jack, last episode I described as a building block episode. It was one that was building towards the final six of this season. And Steven, going into this week, he had acquired all the parts for the vehicle that would drive himself, Sage, and Christina to the final tribal council. What I did not expect is that Sage and Christina would walk into that car, pour gasoline all over it, and light the whole thing on fire. And that's where we are right now. Welcome to Survivor Analytics. I'm your host, Clyde. With me, as always, is the voice of the people, not the true expert. It's Jack. Jack, how's it going?
What's up, party people? Heck of an episode. I would like to accept my trophy for winning Survivor Fantasy now.
Really? It's over, you're saying? There's no chance?
Because I've got Christina and Sage, who, guess what? They're winners. And shout out friend of the show, Alexis, for taking a gamble on Steven. Bye-bye. I'm the champion. There's no way that Savannah can carry her to, what does she need? She's needs to close
by less than 100 points.
There's no way Savannah can close a 100-point gap.
Now that I say, might age poorly. Yeah, I think she's gonna close the 100-point gap.
That was one of those takes that, as I felt it come out of my mouth, I went, "No, that's not right." But it might be. It might be. If last week was the building blocks, this week was the toddler knocking down the tower, and then the toddler. It's like, did you ever babysit or? Were you ever working with kids and you're like, oh, let's build Legos, and then you build something decent and they're like, no, that's not right, and they knock it down and they build something crap because they're 4. Okay. That's what this episode is, okay? This episode is last week's building blocks. A mature adult built something decent, right? The Steven block a vote steal thing. And then the toddlers of Sage and Christina knocked that down and said, we're going to build our own thing, and it's not going to stand up on its own.
And as that's going on, you have the toddler Sophie in the corner, banging her head against the wall, trying to use her knowledge as power on Steven for reasons unknown.
And then you've got the toddlers Rizzo and Savannah, who are passing the SATs. They're acing SATs as toddlers for no reason other than production seems to love them. Here's my biggest problem with this week. I don't know, man. Actually, there's a lot of problems with this week. This was not telegraphed at all, right? Like, sometimes with a blindside, you don't see the blindside coming, but then you go, that was really smart, right? That person was a threat. That didn't happen this week. Because Steven's win equity was only highlighted in examples that were then portrayed as poor gamesmanship, right? The only time that Steven's threat level was elevated was by Christina, that I heard.
And I don't know if I can trust Christina's outlook on the game, because she's been so wrong on so many occasions.
Yeah, I'll say this. I've been telling people all week, I've got a big podcast to record on Thursday. It's our biggest one of the season, because this is the one where we talk about the finale, right? After the finale, it's impressions, right? It's takeaways. But this is the one where we think about what's going to happen, what could happen, what should happen. I don't see a world where, honestly, Rizzo doesn't win this game.
Where Rizzo doesn't win? Wow, okay. You don't think Savannah has a shot?
I think that there are too many people on the jury who dislike Savannah, and there is so much genuine energy to Rizzo, right? That was played up this week, right? That was telegraphed this week. That I think Rizzo's whole idol move this week either secured him the win or secured him the loss, depending on how the jury received it.
I don't think the jury received it well. We'll talk about it more in the final tribal,
so
but I'm not as high on Rizzo as you are.
We'll get to what might happen later, but my point is this. I was hoping that we'd go into this week and we'd be looking at like a Sophie, Savannah, Steven final tribal potentially. And instead, I don't see a world where Rizzo or Savannah don't win. I mean, we've got a whole episode to discuss here. But in the next time on, when it's hyping up the finale of Survivor 49, there are 5 people that they have to hype up. Savannah and Rizzo, obviously. Then you've got Soph. Okay, she gets a little bit of time. All 3 of them get some dialogue, right? Get some screen time in the next time on. Then there's Sage. She gets a little bit. Did you watch this?
I think so, yeah.
Christina gets 1 shot in the next time on. And it's her sliding down a ramp covered in mud and getting hurt at the bottom. That's all she gets. And it feels so brutal to say, hey, Christina, you've just made this move that is questionable at best. How are we going to portray you going into the finale? You are at the very least, final 5 on 49. How are we going to portray you? As absolutely not winning this game. We're not even going to try to give you a chance of win equity.
Yeah.
It's brutal. It's a brutal edit.
Well, I can give my surface level thoughts on it. Like, this is going to be a 2-horse race. It's Rizzo or Savannah winning right now. There is no edit building towards a Soph, Sage, or Christina win. And I think one thing that's really interesting, some dialogue that I've seen online with the Survivor community, that might be a little bit unfair, is that a lot of people are saying Rizzo and Savannah aren't great players. They're just surrounded by incompetence. And I'm of the opinion that phenomenal Survivor players make their competition look incompetent by comparison. And that might be what we're seeing here. But at the same time, like, some of these strategic decisions are egregious, and we're going to hop into it all.
Yeah.
But we can start with the opening of the episode, where we get some crucial information on Rizzo's idol that has not been in the edit the entire season.
R-I-Z, G-O-D, Rizgod, baby. Are you... This move? What a move.
It's a great idea. Side note, Soph claims on Twitter after the episode that this was originally her idea. We still need to figure out who takes ownership for it. I give more credit to Rizzo because he's the one actually holding the idol. But he has somehow convinced the rest of this tribe that his idol, because it was acquired as a Beware advantage in the pre-merge, it expires at the final 6, not the final 5.
Hey, Soph, if that was your idea, why didn't you steal it? So if you knew it was more powerful than everyone else knew, then you should have stolen it.
I completely agree. If she thinks that it expires at final 6, that at least gives some justification on why she would not take it. But if she knows it's a normal idol, you have to take that thing. My question is, why does everyone believe Rizzo? Why do they think this thing expires at the final 6? Have we ever seen an idol that expires at the final 6?
So this is a good opportunity for your expertise as the true expert. Because when I heard this pitch, from my experience, which is obviously more limited, I don't watch this show. I say that I've watched a fifth of it, right? In my experience of Survivor, it seems like a lie, but it doesn't seem like a crazy lie. But that's with my experience of watching this show, discussing it here, immediately forgetting it, right? If you're on the show, if you're a fan of the show, is this a crazy ploy? Does it make no sense to you? When you heard this, were you like, this is insane?
This is insane. I can't think of another idol in Survivor history that has an expiration date at the final 6 instead of the final 5. There's other like advantages and twists that have an earlier expiration date, but not a straight up idol. And on top of that, there are other players in this game who acquired Beware advantages, and they share that information. MC found her idol right at the mergatory. She got the Beware advantage in the pre-merge. She shared that information with Steven. Did she not tell Steven the expiration date? Alex got an idol in the pre-merge. He shared that information with Soph. Did he not share that expiration date with her? Like, the fact that Sage and Christina go along with this is absolutely insane to me.
Let me throw out there, if the expiration date is standard expiration at 5, then there's no point of sharing it, right? It's like saying, why would you bother mentioning that winter ends in March when everybody knows it, right? If it's like an obvious thing. But the flip side of that is, if these idols expire at 6, you would go, oh, this is different. They're moving up the timeline. So other people should have mentioned it. That being said, it is kind of a compelling narrative of, hey, it's new era. It's an old idol. They're trying to speed up the game. I have to play it now, and then it's back in the field for 5. Like, there is something believable there without the... When you factor in, hey, other people had these idols and could have said something, then it becomes less believable. But
and I think it's honestly the most impactful strategic move of this episode. Because if Sage and Christina know that his idol expires around later, then they definitely take the shot at Rizzo this week. And they wait and they keep Steven around. Like, I think Rizzo's lie is a main reason why Steven is the person who goes home. So credit to Rizzo there for at least convincing the rest of the tribe that was true.
And this highlights what you just said about incompetence and good players exploiting incompetence, right? Like, if other people have that gullibleness,
Yeah,
gullibulation. Yeah.
I know what you mean, though.
If other people are that gullible, take advantage. Absolutely. 10 out of 10. Like, that's great.
Side note, just like critique of the edit for this season. I think that lie is so impactful for the strategy and the outcome of this tribal council. They should have included that storyline weeks ago. The fact that that's brought up at the final 6 is, insane. It doesn't make any sense. But
what that could be, from the edit perspective, is saying, hey, it's late in the game. Rizzo's going to win this season. Now we need to we need to amp up his win equity now compared to Savannah, right? We need to put Rizzo and Savannah on equal footing when she's about to win another challenge, right? We need Rizzo to do something now, so we're going to reveal this now. But that's might be a stretch. There's finally a storm on the island. And I've got to say, it's great to see it rain on Fiji and to see them actually, like, mildly inconvenienced by the elements. I miss old Survivor. We one time, I think, had enough time between fall and spring seasons to watch old Survivor. And I miss those days because now we're going to finish this season and then we're just not going to watch Survivor for 6 weeks. And then we're going to come back, right?
Yeah, it's an awkward amount of time between the end of this season and the start of 50.
But I miss suffering.
I know you do.
And this is the closest we get. And even in they're in the shelter. They've all got their hoodies on because they've all got hoodies because Survivor is giving them whatever they need. Soph is rocking that sweatshirt that I really want. I need to find it. Hey, Soph, I know I did just, if you're listening, thanks for listening. I know I did just diss your strategy of taking credit for the thing you didn't do. That being said, I really would love that sweatshirt. Please let me know where you got it. Sophie and Christina have a little side conversation while they're all in the same tent about how Savannah needs to be a target. And this gave me some hope. Maybe Sophie is going to make the move she needs to make.
He straight up admits in confessional that if she goes to the final 3 with Rizzo and Savannah, it's a recipe for 3rd place. And I went, wee woo, foreshadowing moment right here. Sophie, I think right now is going to be the 3rd place finisher of the season. I think she's your 0 vote finalist. Basically, in that conversation with Christina and Soph, they agreed to go after Savannah if she loses immunity. And this has been the storyline of the entire post-merge. We got to knock out Savannah. She's the mean girl. She's the big threat. Do you think if Savannah lost immunity this week, she actually goes home? Or is this just another charade put on by Soph?
No, I think she does go home. I think it's legit. I think Soph is recognizing that she is 3rd in this alliance, right? She is on the bottom. She's done a great job. She's made this alliance this whole time. It's worked for her really nicely, but it's not... She doesn't have the win equity if she just rides this alliance to the end. She needs a move. She recognizes that, and she's right. If Savannah's vulnerable, I think she takes the shot. Because if Savannah's vulnerable, the other 3 are going to take that shot anyway. So it's better for her to flip. Yeah, I think she... Do you not think she takes it?
I'm really questioning if she would have taken it. If she was willing to turn against that pair, why not take the shot at Rizzo this week? I think she intends on rolling with them to the final tribal, but we'll need to wait and see. I'm good to head to reward if you are. I have no notes from this. I only have notes from the reward selections at the end.
Yeah. So the reward, it's an obstacle course and then throw a sandbag on a pole. Whoop-de-doo. The reward itself is a Mexican feast, tacos, guac, margs, tres leches cake, and spending the night at Sanctuary, and the letters from home. So big reward.
Your favorite.
Listen, we'll get to that. Because I've got something to say this time that isn't just my usual cynicism. My only complaint here is that it's guac and not queso, but I'm allergic to avocado, so queso is my preferred. The reward, it's nothing, right? Or I'm sorry, not the reward. The challenge is nothing. Absolutely uninteresting. Everybody makes it to the throw the sandbag part. They do the slow-mo for a Steven throw, and then Savannah just tosses it up there and wins. So Savannah wins. Here's a question for you, true expert. How many challenges has she won? She wins her third immunity, but how many overall has she won?
So she's at 4. I don't know what the total challenge win record is on a given season. I would need to go back and dig through the numbers. We know that the immunity win record on the women's side is 4 and the overall record is 5. And I have takes on that for when we get to the actual immunity challenge. But going to Survivor Sanctuary, Savannah takes Rizzo and Soph. And at first I thought, what are you doing? You are showing your hands, revealing your alliance, and giving those other 3 contestants time to strategize in a spot where Steven has some kind of advantage. And they can work that out amidst themselves. At first I thought this was a horrendous move for Savannah's game. But I think this ends up being potentially Savannah's most impactful strategic move of the season so far. I have admittedly not been very high on Savannah's strategic game. I think in the pre-merge, she was a secondary force to Nate. In the early merge, she's blindsided in that Nate vote, and then she kind of takes a back seat as Rizzo does a lot of the work and knocking out people like MC and Jawan. But now, Savannah needs people to roll with to the final tribal. She's had people gunning for her for weeks now. And I think by taking the 2 of them on reward, this felt like the moment that brought all of them together. And now, as far as we know, Soph and Rizzo are willing to go to the end with Savannah. It goes as far as Soph opening up and revealing her knowledge is power to the rest of that alliance. This was a huge moment on Savannah's resume. And I think should this alliance go to the final 3 together, which is what I'm probably going to predict right now, Savannah can be the player who says, I was the biggest threat this entire time, and I was the one that served as the glue of this group. I took them on reward, and that's where we locked down this alliance. What do they call it? The
Tres Leches Alliance.
The Tres Leches Alliance. Rizzo also gives a shout out and calls it Operation Mexico, which I appreciated.
Let me throw out a couple things here. A, getting the reveal from Soph makes this all worthwhile. It's the combination of getting that reveal, and then we get a confessional from Soph where she basically says that going on this reward was a sign from God that she needs to stick with this alliance.
Someone call up Shannon. Shannon and Soph should have been aligned. The 2 of them.
That's fantastic. So that's critical. I do think it's worth pointing out. That's not a result Savannah could have anticipated. Savannah benefits from the sign from God and feeding Soph, meaning she gets to know about knowledge is power and she gets to lock in Soph as an ally. Those outcomes are not things she could have even seen coming, right? She wants to keep Soph close.
Divine intervention.
Yeah, she couldn't have seen divine intervention coming, but she also couldn't have seen Soph's advantage coming, right? I will say this, in hindsight, if she had done the split, right, and she had sent Soph back, that would have been disastrous, right? Because sending Soph back, leaving her hungry, would have opened them up. And Soph goes, well, I have my knowledge is power. They just left me hungry. I've been talking about going after Savannah, and I can take out Rizzo at the same time. That would have been disastrous. But because I think the most critical things to come out of this were lucky for Savannah. So what element do you think Savannah could have planned going in? Just locking down these two allies?
I think that was Savannah's plan, that by taking them on this reward, because contestants hold the family letters, with such a high regard. By taking the two of them on this reward, giving them the family letters, they're going to feel indebted to me to the point where they would go to the end of this game with me. And that's how Soph feels. She reads her letter and she has a shout out to her late grandma. And one piece of advice that her grandma always gave her was to not wait to live. And I hate to be that guy, but I feel like this was the episode where Soph kind of waited to live. She waited to make that move against Rizzo and Savannah, and I think that's going to cost her the $1 million.
I mean, I think you're right. I think you're right. She says at one point in the episode, she cared for her grandma near the end, and she says that if her grandma was watching, she would have said, "You've only known these people for 22 days. Why are you valuing friendships over $1 million, right? A 22-day friendship versus $1 million." Yeah, I agree with you there. I think that the sombreros go really hard. Also, that's worth pointing out. I wrote down in my notes here, Tres Leches Alliance. Soph could betray Rizgod at any time, but a taco has convinced her not to. It's not a great move from her. I don't want to fault her for it because, these relationships are very real. I do feel like this is a trio who will stay close, right? I don't follow... I have to really like somebody on Survivor to follow them on social media because I try not to let this stuff taint my algorithm. Ava is the only one I think I follow from 48 because I am a big fan of hers. But, she and Kyle are still tight. They hang out a lot, right? Yeah. Which is great. And I feel like this is a trio who might still stay tight, at least somewhat, which I think is really lovely. Yeah.
The last time we had an iconic trio like this was the Tika 3, and they are not tight anymore.
Are they not?
They are not on the best of terms anymore. Yeah.
Good on Jam Jam for getting out of there. Good on him.
Okay.
I do want to say this before we leave Sanctuary. I don't like letters from home. I have made that clear for 3 years at this point.
Yes.
Rizzo's got me.
Really?
Rizzo's letters from home, he is just such a kind, generous, responsible, every positive adjective I can think of, I see reflected in him, right? You see him so grateful for his dad still working 3 jobs, and you see him so determined to help his brother through his, trying to figure out how to live life with autism. I hate this segment, but Rizzo's heart came through so clearly there. He's not here for, is it a bachelor thing? The right reasons, right? Not that there's wrong reasons to do Survivor, because it's about $1 million and, everybody wants $1 million. He's playing this game for such a beautiful combination of loving the game and loving his family and wanting to care for them. Maybe it's because he kind of looks like you, and I was like, I don't know, man. But it really got me. Usually I skip this segment, and his was so compelling that I looked away from Instagram.
Wow. That's a huge compliment.
It brought me back. It was really lovely. And Rizzo, if you're listening, I mean, it meant the world. I wish you nothing but the best. That was great.
And that, Jack, is why they include the letters from home. I think the main reason why they have letters from home, and this might be kind of a cynical viewpoint on it all, it's to reaffirm your feelings on contestants who you already like. I think it's pretty rare that a contestant will open their letter from home and you'll go, you know what? I completely changed my opinion. I'm all in on Christina now. I think she's going to win the game because of her letter from home. It just gives more context to these people outside the game who you are probably already rooting for. You and Rizzo is the perfect example. You've given him the winner for over half this season. So I'm not surprised that Rizzo's tears brought you to tears. Back at camp, though, we have one reveal from Steven. He goes over to Sage and Christina and says, listen, I'm going to let you guys know about my secret advantage that I got last week. I have a vote block that is used before you go to tribal council, which is kind of a wacky rule to begin with. But he tells them about his advantage. When I look back at this, like, I think Steven needed to bring them into the loop here. Otherwise, how can you possibly convince them to go through with a 3-3 vote split? But I also wonder, did that advantage cause Sage and Christina to drift away from Steven? Did they feel that if we go through with this plan, it will largely be perceived as Steven's strategic move? Because right now, if the three of them went to the final tribal, I think Steven already beats them. But if he gets that other stamp on his resume, he might sweep the jury against the two of them.
Yeah, I think you're right. In hindsight, this is a no-win scenario for him. Because he has to tell them, he has to loop them in. If it had been those final three, it would be like, how many jury votes are there?
There's 8.
It'd be like 5-3 Steven Sage.
And 0 for Christina.
Christina has no win equity. Absolutely none. Like, I hate to say it. She's got... The only thing Christina has, even as a character, is hating on Savannah, right? Like, she's just not gotten any edit at all. Sage has gotten some. They say it in Tribal. They're like, we couldn't beat you. Which shows a fundamental lack of imagination because they can't beat anyone else either.
I think from their perspective, they can only beat Soph in a jury vote. They know they can't beat Rizzo and Savannah. They vote out Steven this week because they see him as a threat. They only see Soph as like a winning combination, which might actually be true. I don't know who wins in that scenario. If we end up with the iconic Sage, Christina, Soph final 3,
I see Sage winning that. But it's close.
I lean towards Soph. It's really close.
Yeah.
Christina might actually get a jury vote in that scenario. There's a chance.
Oh, well, let's talk about the night at the at camp, because this was pretty funny.
The rats.
Yeah, Survivor's really delivering their tiny little dose of, hey, maybe life on Fiji isn't great. I feel like I talk a big game about how life isn't hard enough on Survivor. And would I have a hard time not eating for 22 days? Absolutely. Would this game break me physically and mentally? Almost definitely. But is it way easier than it used to be? Also, yes.
Yes.
And so this episode between the thunderstorm and the rats is trying to rehabilitate Survivor 49 and convince us that Fiji is hard to survive. They do that by showing some rats in the camp. And the moment where the rat runs right at Sage is so funny. Because imagine you're trying to sleep, and all of a sudden, all of the cameras come out, and you're like vaguely aware that there's some dudes standing nearby with night vision gear filming you. Part of you has to be like, why are they here right now? What's going on that they decided it was worth filming? Because they're not filming all night.
They might be.
No. They're not filming all night. There's no way they're telling somebody to stand there and film 8 hours of these people sleeping.
I think they might be.
No, I refuse to believe that.
I think they have a camera crew there all the time. Jack, where is the money going for this show? It needs to be going somewhere.
It's going to Jeff Probst's pockets.
His pockets and his Botox. I know.
Okay, did you hear about the Paramount bid to buy Netflix? Or not Netflix, Warner Brothers? To compete with Netflix?
I know that Paramount and Survivor 50 are doing a collaboration with Beast Games Season 2 on Amazon Prime. Jeff Probst will be making a feature with Mr. Beast.
Paramount offered $100 billion to buy Warner Brothers.
No, they did not.
Yes, they did.
And you know where keeping the Survivor prize money at $1 million?
Yes. You know where that $100 billion comes from? Part of it is Jared Kushner's venture capital fund. But part of it is not spending money on production of Survivor. The money they've saved by reusing challenges is part of the reason they're trying to buy Warner Brothers. Anyway, the rat thing was pretty funny. There's a great line from Sage, quote, "Fuck that rat." Pretty
Thanks,
funny.
Sage.
And basically we're setting up for immunity. Immunity is going to decide who is the target this week, if a move can even be made, right? If one of Sage, Christina, and Steven wins immunity, Savannah's gone.
Yeah.
Or they're forcing Rizzo's idol out into play and they do some sort of split thing. But we don't have to worry about that. So anything else before the challenge?
No, I'm set for the challenge.
All right. We get a really bad bit from Jeff. Speaking of Jeff, he tries to do a Frankenstein like, welcome to my lab. Doesn't work. Doesn't land. That little laugh you got just there was more than anybody deserves to.
I laughed more at your impersonation of Jeff than Jeff's own.
Jeff used to be a comedian, didn't he? Like, he had a talk show for a minute.
He had a talk show. It was very poorly reviewed. Maybe that's something we could do during one off season. Watch a couple episodes of Jeff's failed ventures outside of Survivor. We'll do Rock and Roll Jeopardy and we'll do his talk show. Both of which I think were complete disasters.
Rock and Roll Jeopardy sounds like it would be awful after 2 episodes. Like, there can't be that much rock and roll trivia.
There's only like so many middle-aged dads in the country to watch that every week.
Jeopardy is a show with infinite potential because it can have trivia about anything. But as soon as you put like walls on it, it becomes incredibly finite.
Not even music, but just one genre of music. We're going to put 2 levels of walls on it.
Yeah. But so the challenge is the challenge that D won at Final 5 in 46.
No, you were close. 45.
I thought 45 and I second guessed myself. Shout out to D. This is a challenge I wrote down. This challenge is designed for Savannah.
I said the exact same thing.
Now, I am a mildly athletic person. Mildly. I go to the gym occasionally. I try to get some cardio in. I wouldn't say that I'm in good shape. I can't fathom what kind of shape you need to be in to stand in this position for 34 minutes. Because the challenge is the challenge D1, where you are standing with your foot on the end of a essentially teeter-totter. Do you say teeter-totter or seesaw, Clyde?
I say seesaw.
A seesaw where on the other end there's a ball on a little circle that has a tiny rim, tiny little bumper to keep it in. So you just have to keep it relatively balanced. It's not like a little misstep is not the end of the world.
Yeah. When I first saw the challenge, I didn't know that they had that little wall on the end. Because without that, this thing would be over so quickly.
I'd be curious to go back and look at 45 and see if they did then. Because I don't know.
I'd assume so. There's no way they made new challenge props.
But imagine standing. So D in 45 did this for 24 minutes. Sage and Savannah go for 34.
Like, it gets chaotic towards the end of it, too, because contestants are dropping. Rizzo always drops first, which stinks because I lose fantasy points whenever he's the first boot in a challenge, which happens pretty often. But it boils down to the rivalry, one of the main rivalries of the season. It's Savannah versus Sage. Sage knows she's going to drop. She knows she isn't going to be up there much longer. And I appreciate that she attempts to make a social play here, but there is no way this was going to work. She starts telling Savannah, if you drop and let me win this, we can go far into the game together. You just got to trust me. Like, this is complete BS. No one would buy this. Sage has been going after Savannah for a month, maybe even longer.
It is an extremely late game. Like, come on, work with me here. Like, I can save you. Right? That's what she says. She's like, you'll be okay. Savannah is unmoved, right? Sage is like standing there wobbling, doing this litany of like all the men in her life, or maybe it's all the people in her life. I don't know. I don't know who she's talking about in this moment. She's talking, she's sweating, she's panicking. She's saying, Savannah, I can save you. Just drop. I need this. Right? I don't want to buy into the villain edit Savannah perspective. She's unmoved. She is a statue, right?
Yeah.
And to go back to the point that had me standing up behind the mic here, what kind of workouts are you doing to be able to do that? Is that a ton of yoga? Is that what Pilates is? I don't fully understand that, but I know there's balance involved. What kind of strength and inner balance and stability do you have to cultivate to be able to stand in one position for 34 minutes? It's amazing. It's really incredible. And Sage deserves her flowers because Dee was a great physical competitor. And so Sage lasting that long, super admirable. I do want to give a quick shout out to my colleague Naomi for pointing out that perhaps Dee would have had to last this long had her competition been fiercer.
Yeah, we don't know how long Dee would have made it. But Dee and Savannah are both on Survivor 50. So if they run this challenge back, we can see them go head to head.
Could be a good alliance too. I do want to throw out another shout out to Naomi for pointing out, quote, has Survivor been on the island too long? The rats have become accustomed to human interaction.
Oh, that's a great point.
Great take. Shout out Naomi. Yeah. Really great take from her. That Survivor is starting to leave an impact on this island of Fiji. In another decade, we'll have speciation where there's a certain kind of rat that's like Latin name is Jeff Probstus. So Savannah wins out.
It's her third individual immunity win of the season, and this transitions well to my prediction that I hinted at earlier. I think Savannah is going to tie the Survivor record for most individual wins in a single season. I think she's going up to 5. I think she's going to win it at Final 5 and win it at Final 4. Part of that is because I think Savannah is obviously a great challenge competitor in general. But at the same time, like, look at who she's going up against for the rest of the season. Who's beating her in a challenge? I think Sage is the only one with at least a chance in any of these. Steven was her best physical competition leading up to this week. And with him gone, it just feels like such a clean path for her to the end.
It's really the only flaw in Rizzo's game. So has she won anything?
No. No individual immunity wins. Very few, I think 0 tribal immunity wins as well.
Yeah. She kept losing. She just kept losing.
But this begs an important question for you.
Yep. Is Savannah a meat boy?
Is she a meat boy? She's at 3.
This one makes me want to give her the meat boy title. The others, even the reward today, that was luck. Everybody was getting close, and it was up to the sandbag physics, right?
Okay.
This
the
one,
sandbag physics is luck.
Go back and watch that. Go back and watch that earlier challenge. So many people were throwing it. The sandbag was landing and then being like, and sand, and falling off a little bit. Nobody has enough control to land that consistently, right? It's not.
No. Christina threw hers backwards once. Is that because of the sandbag physics? Is that bad luck?
Well, what I'm saying is, like, there wasn't a clear level of skill above and beyond.
Okay.
That Savannah had.
Yeah.
In this challenge, she shows it.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
That inner strength and resilience. I'll tell you what. She's on the meat boy list for sure. If she wins next week, she's up there with like Yule, Ozzy, other meat boys.
Terry. Yule is not a meat boy.
Who's Terry?
Jack.
Oh, Terry from China.
Not from China. Terry won 5 out of 7. Ozzy won 5.
The Air Force guy.
Yeah, Terry's the Air Force guy. But Savannah could be entering that tier. And then if she goes on to win the season, she would be the first meat boy of the podcast to actually win Survivor. We've never seen a challenge beast go on and win, except for Rachel. I consider Rachel a challenge-centric player. I don't know if you think of her the same way, but
I don't think of her as a meat boy, but I do think of her as a challenge-centric player, and I'm not going to explain the contradiction.
Okay.
So, all right, post-challenge.
This is where we can talk about all the main strategy of the episode. So this will probably leak into the Tribal Council as well. But I feel like there's a couple big questions that we got to hit on. The biggest being the decision from Christina and Sage. They ultimately decide to go against Steven this week and vote him out, overturning on either Soph or Rizzo. And my question for you, Jack, is why? Why do they knock out Steven here? They are technically forfeiting the numbers advantage to that opposing alliance.
You made a good point earlier when you said that they think they can only beat Soph. That being said, you're having to do the analysis if you're Christina and Sage. Is it better to go to the end with a trio and lose, or go to the end with a duo and maybe be up against someone you can beat? I would rather go with the trio option, personally, because it's a more reliable bet, right? Because what they're betting on is, I think, Savannah and Rizzo turning on each other at the 11th hour and turning to them, which isn't going to happen. I do not see that happening. I see that final 3 being ride or die to the end now. I think that was their bet. That doesn't feel earned. That doesn't feel forecasted by the edit at all. But I think that's what they're going.
I agree. I think there's 2 main factors influencing this plan. One is this assumption that Rizzo's idol expires at the final 6. If they thought that Rizzo was completely vulnerable, maybe then they would take the shot at him. And this idea that they can only beat Soph in a jury vote. So their options were essentially limited to either Rizzo or Steven. But there's so many things that make this plan absolutely horrible. They're giving up the numbers advantage to that opposing alliance, which we all see. They're knocking out probably the second strongest physical competitor in the game. So now one of them needs to beat Savannah in a challenge to even have the opportunity to take her out of the island. But what I see is the worst component of all this is that for them to go to the end with Soph, they are now fully dependent on Soph flipping over to their alliance at the final 5. What evidence has Soph given that she is willing to make that flip? I think her allegiance is shown at the tribal council when she uses her knowledge is power on Steven over Rizzo. She could have used that on Rizzo and pocketed his idol as a way of showing to the 2 of them, listen, I'm going to turn on these guys. Just trust me for now. And she doesn't do it. She goes against their ally instead. So I thought this was a very misguided plan from both of them. Christina, I didn't expect much, as bad as that might sound, because she hasn't been the most savvy strategic player this season. This was disappointing coming from Sage. I feel like Sage has had multiple rounds this season where she's making either very emotional decisions or just very short-sighted decisions. It felt like in the early game, Sage was voting out these contestants who she did not connect with on a personal level. She was so determined to knock out Shannon before the merge. And then in the post-merge, she has been completely blind to the long-term game itself. And instead, she's looking at the people on the island and saying, who is the biggest threat to me at this absolute very moment? If it's Sophie, Sophie's going home, even if there's a chance that Sophie could join me in the future. If it's Steven, Steven's going home, even if he could be a valuable ally. Sage's gameplay this week especially was really disappointing to me.
Let me ask you this. What do you see Steven's win equity at here?
I actually believe that Steven had solid win equity, and that's confirmed by some of the cast postseason. Apparently, outside Savannah, Steven might have been the second biggest jury threat on the beach. So I don't mind turning on Steven, just don't turn on him now. For me, I wrote this down. The ideal play for Sage and Christina in this round is to vote against Rizzo, because in the best case scenario, you take the numbers advantage with your 3 and you weaken Savannah. And in the worst case scenario, Rizzo plays his idol and Steven goes home anyway. There's really no losing by putting your votes on Rizzo here.
That's a great point. The season is walking a difficult line, right? Because the season is trying to portray this as anybody's game when it's obviously Rizzo or Savannah because of 50. It's trying to portray anybody else as contenders. They tried so hard to make the war a thing for so many weeks, and then it evaporated. They're trying so hard to make Rizzo and Savannah feel like underdogs with all their assets and all their screen time, and it's not working. Christina and Sage, I think, are extremely relationship-based players. They're going off of vibes more than strategy. Sage has a couple of moments where she talks about strategy, right? But the interpersonal stuff comes into it, inevitably. Yeah. Christina, I feel like we almost never see her talk strategy, and her kind of defining characteristic on the season so far is her dislike of Savannah.
And even in the moments where Christina is talking strategy, she's shown in a very negative light. This week, Steven straight up calls her a bad ally or a discombobulated ally.
Yeah, he compares her to a person eating spaghetti messily. Yes. Right? Because she goes to talk to him and basically lets slip that she sees him as a threat to her game, which is not a good move. And so you've got these 2 people who are kind of vibes-based players. Like that thing you just described, right? Going after Rizzo, forcing the idol, and Steven goes home. That makes a lot of sense now to us. I know, like, this was an edit for a good twist, but I wish we had something explaining it, right? Or maybe we'll get that next week at the start.
I think they don't go after Rizzo because they assume his idol's expiring this round. It's a lock that he's going to play it. Why give Rizzo this flashy moment in front of the jury? So somehow, some way, like the strategy of the tribal council, once again, boils down to the strategic work of Rizzo. So I think he's playing a great game. We've talked about Christina and Sage. The other big player of this tribal council is Soph. And I want to hear your thoughts on why she uses knowledge as power on Steven as opposed to Rizzo. Because she does kind of get unlucky in that Steven's advantage is a weird one where it's played before the tribal council. I struggle to think of any other advantage in Survivor history that is used before you even go to tribal council. So I don't necessarily hate the move on Soph's end, but I'm more so concerned with what this move represents for her intentions in the game.
If Soph had played it on Rizzo, she would have catapulted herself into the winner conversation. Instead, she's done. I don't think there's anything she can do to redeem her game.
You're probably right, because she's in a spot now where her game is entirely dependent on Savannah losing the challenge at 5. Because she said in confessional, she knows she can't beat Rizzo or Savannah in a jury vote. Rizzo has immunity at 5. He has that idol.
Yeah.
So if Savannah wins, she's cooked off the bat.
She could win against Christina and Sage, but even then, it's not a sweep. Even then, it's going to be split with Sage, right? Christina, I'm sorry, you got nothing. Like the edit's been brutal to you. I feel bad saying it, but there's just not enough there to see any potential. Soph's done. She's cooked. I hate to say it. Love the cardigan game. It does look like this cardigan isn't sized. It's a women's cardigan.
It always goes back to the card. I guess my question for you to get away from this cardigan that keeps coming up. Let's say Steven's advantage was a normal advantage. It was one that was played at Tribal Council. Is this move better if Soph actually takes Steven's advantage and then they knock him out? Or is it just as bad either way? Because she's giving the power to Rizzo and Savannah.
No, if it had worked, that would give her some equity. It failing creates this weird... I mean, this went down in the messiest way possible, right?
Yeah.
Because we have both things that are played this week. Rizzo gives that whole speech about ammunition, right? This is a war, and wars come down to, like, armaments on both sides, which makes me think of, like, some Ender's Game stuff that I won't get into now. But all the armaments, all the ammunition used this week falls flat. And it's like, did you ever see War Games, the old movie with Matthew Broderick?
I don't think so, no.
Great movie where basically Matthew Broderick, who's Ferris Bueller, if you didn't know that.
Okay.
It's him and Ali Sheedy from The Breakfast Club. She's the goth girl in Breakfast Club. I'm pretty sure. He basically accidentally hacks into a supercomputer. And he's trying to play like games with this supercomputer. And he accidentally almost starts nuclear war.
Okay.
And essentially convinces the computer eventually that the only way to win is not to play. And I think it gets to the point where like nukes are in the air or they're about to launch and then the computer deactivates them, right? This situation was like if nuclear war started, everybody fired their missiles and then deactivated them so they just fall helplessly and uselessly. And then Rizzo is the guy sitting there with one nuke, but that's enough when nobody else has any. And so if Soph's had worked, it would have shown, hey, she made a good move and she disabled something in the game. She used this thing and got it. I will say the definition of it, too, was a little more generic than what we talked about last week. Did you note this? That she just had to identify if it was an advantage or an idol. She didn't have to name specifics. I think we talked about specifics last week, but you called it perfectly, by the way. I do want to give you your flowers.
Try to use it on Steven, it would fail.
Well, Like you called the timing of it, right? Of he's going to play his thing beforehand, she's going to play hers, and it's not going to work.
Yeah. What I did not expect amidst all this is that I thought once those dominoes fell and the contestants realized, oh, that alliance of Sage, Christina, and Steven take the numbers, I thought that the way that the opposing group took control would be by Rizzo playing his idol correctly. I did not expect them to just get the numbers outright for this Steven vote. And Rizzo has that moment where he goes to the front and he says, Jeff, I'm actually going to hold on to this. And he goes back and he sits down. The fact that that worked is wild. And one thing I want to mention, and I think one thing that should give Rizzo fans some concern looking forward, is that when Rizzo walks back to his seat, they pan to the jury. And that jury does not look excited. They look kind of annoyed by him right now. Rizzo is kind of the boy who cried wolf at every tribal council in the post-merge with this idol. Yeah. And I said it last week. I think there's a chance that Rizzo might be going from a player who is avoiding the target with his idol to a contestant who just is not a threat at all to begin with. And people don't want to vote him out. And the fact that he has an idol doesn't really mean that much. We saw something similar in Survivor 48. I think Joe and Eva had an idol between the two of them. And every week we would say, why is no one voting against them? It's because they didn't have win equity. People didn't see them as threats. And it could be a similar situation here with Rizzo.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's something to that, right? It's kind of gloating a little bit, right? Of, I've got this thing, you don't. I could use it now, but I don't need it. If the jury had more Rizzo fans, they would be loving it, right? But these are people who were mostly neutral at best on Rizzo, right? And so when you're starting from neutral, that's not a great look. If you were starting from positive, it would be better. But yeah, I think that's fair. Should we knock out the rest of this and then talk about the finale?
Like, you mean winners and losers? I got nothing really from Tribal Council. I feel like we hit on all the highlights there.
Just throwing out there, Steven's line, I'm feeling as nervous as a pair of shins in a dark room full of coffee tables. That's pretty funny, but it also made me think that in the slow-mo shot of him in the hammock before Tribal, he wasn't thinking about strategy. He was thinking up that line. I swore a lot in my notes. That's all I've got.
Okay. Do you want to do winners and losers first or finale predictions first?
Let's do winners and losers of this episode, and then we can talk finale. So Steven gets eliminated. Rizzo does hit him with GG. Yeah. Which was really funny. Like, saying GG, dude, to somebody in real life in 2025 is hilarious.
Yeah, especially when Steven is like a decade older than Rizzo. Like, he still gets that reference.
He definitely does. Yeah. Steven has the energy of, like, Steven played Overwatch. You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah. He's a cool guy.
He's a gamer. He's got a Hank Green energy to him that I think is kind of nice. Like, good communicator, sciencey, nerdy. All right. Winners and losers. Who's your loser?
Loser, Soph, played the Knowledge's power incorrectly this week. Kind of locked herself into a spot where she needs to beat Savannah in a challenge at the Final Five. I did feel bad because I made a TikTok this week criticizing Soph's strategic decisions, and I got some DMs from her justifying those strategic decisions.
That's hilarious. Shout out to Soph.
Soph, I'm happy that you followed the page. I still think it was a bad move.
It's a tough move. There's always rationale. That's the hard part. Except for very obviously emotional moves, there's always some rationale that people make, and sometimes you just don't know that things are wrong until you see the episode, or you look back and you go, oh, if I'd known this one more data point, then I would have gone totally different. But my loser is also Soph. I mean, she's just in the worst position of the contenders. Is Christina in a worse spot? Yes, kind of. Did Christina have win equity in this episode? No. Did Soph? Yes. Did it go down? Yes. So, like, that's tough. I mean, the power of friendship is one thing, but, like, hopefully Rizzo or Savannah takes her out to a nice dinner.
You say the winner, because I think we have the same one.
RIZGOD. RizGod, baby!
The last winner of the season, and he gets both of ours.
Listen, I mean, he's got the idol. He's carried to at least fire, right? He's got win equity. He's got good moves. Yes, he's pissed off the jury a little bit. Will he win? I don't know. Can he advocate for himself better than Savannah at Tribal? I don't know. He's got heart. He's got moxie. He's got grit. I love the kid. He's really one of the reasons I'm excited about 50 is because we get to watch more Rizzo. Rizzo, come on the show, man. We'd love to have you. He's definitely on like a press embargo between the 2 seasons. He can't do anything.
But he's also my winner. I don't think he's winning the season, but I think he's playing the best strategic game. Like, sometimes that's just how it works out. Charlie played the best strategic game on 46, and he didn't win it. I'll do a quick dishonorable mention to the Hina tribe. How is Christina the final Hina member standing? That is insane. And I feel like it's kind of an insult to that tribe. I feel like we have a better understanding as to why that tribe got no screen time in the pre-merge.
Yeah. My honorable mention goes to Othello, the Shakespeare play.
Of course.
Jeff makes a reference to it in Tribal. In high school, I did a student film of Othello. It was a project. Every groups, my entire grade, we all made student films of Othello. And mine was, in hindsight, a little bit too meta. My retelling of Othello for my high school English class was about a group of kids making a movie of Othello in their high school English class and then having the plot of Othello play out. So it was definitely too meta, but it was shot pretty well and the soundtrack was great, and it ended with like a very dramatic shot of one of my friends holding another at gunpoint in front of 2 drowned bodies.
What? I need to see this video at some point.
It's an 11-minute short film. So Othello has a very dear place in my heart from that project. But one of Shakespeare's finest. So, all right.
Okay, let's go to finale predictions. I'll be doing an entire video on TikTok predicting every final Tribal Council combination for this season. We're not going to bore you with the details of that here. I just want to talk about what's going to happen. Who do you think is going home at 5? Who's going home at 4? And who's winning in the final Tribal? I have my predictions, but I want to hear yours.
I think it's Christina.
Who wins?
Who goes home at 5.
Okay, I agree with you there. I think Christina follows like the 5th place finisher edit very well. Like, typically your 5th place finisher is someone who is severely under edited for most of the season. Think back to Survivor 48. Mitch was that contestant. We didn't see much from him.
Mitch got that deep?
He got that deep, and you forgot because he got so little content.
That's like his edit was, yeah. Okay, yeah. Yep, that tracks. At 4, I think it's Sage.
I agree with you there, too. Who takes her out in fire?
I think Savannah takes her out in fire.
I think so, too.
I think that's the vibe.
Oh, man, I have a difficult time. I'm pretty sure that Sage goes out at fire. It feels like a little too poetic for Savannah to be the one to take her out. Like, Sage says this week that it's karma and that she didn't vote out Savannah earlier in the season. So maybe that karma will reach its peak in that fire making challenge, and the gust of wind will come similar to Survivor 47, blow Sage's fire away, and then
so
Savannah
brutal.
beats her. And you get that
R.I.P.
final
Teeny.
3. You get that final 3 of Savannah, Rizzo, and Soph. And then who wins that in your book?
Here, the hard time I have here is the difference between
what you want to happen and what you think will happen.
No. It's not. It's the conflict between Savannah's ability to. She's incredibly well spoken, right? She's a newscaster. She has the gift of gab, to use an Irish turn of phrase. But a lot of these people don't like her, right? Like,
well, who doesn't like her? Christina and Sage. That's only 2 jury votes. You can still win losing those 2.
Sophie with an IE?
I think Sophie likes her. I think Sophie respects her as like a challenge competitor. In the round that Sophie went home, she cast her vote for Savannah. And I think she says in the voting booth, like, I'm voting for another hot, like, challenge beast or something like that.
No.
So I think Sophie's like a lock Savannah vote.
That's a fair point. Jawan is not going to vote for Savannah.
You think Jawan's bitter like that?
Well, is he? I don't know. He's very, like, he's a friendly guy. I'm trying to see through the vibes of the edit trying to convince us she's a villain, right? And I'm trying to balance the edit convincing us she's a villain with her actual personality, which is well-spoken and determined, right? Like, I'm trying to reconcile. So what do you see happen?
I think this ends in a 5-3-0. Soph, the 0-vote finalist of the season. Rizzo picks up the 2 anti-Savannah votes. He gets Sage and Christina. And then I also think he gets Alex. I watched some of Alex's exit press, and he was very complimentary towards Rizzo, especially in his own elimination. I feel like Rizzo was one of the main people responsible for Alex going home. I think he gets those 3. For Savannah, she gets the Steven vote. There's that moment in the edit of Rizzo approaching Steven and saying, I know you have a vote steal. It makes Rizzo look a little bit too confident. So I think he burns one there. I mentioned earlier, I think Sophie is a lock for Savannah. Nate and Savannah had way more content in the pre-merge than Nate and Rizzo. So I think Nate goes in that direction. Juwan, even though Savannah was gunning for Juwan for a large stretch of this season, I think that Juwan will respect Savannah's gameplay. And more often than not, when Juwan was going after Savannah, it was not because he hated her. It was because he saw her as this super high quality player. That's 4 votes there for Savannah, 3 for Rizzo. And your 5th and final vote for Savannah, that's a little bit shakier, is MC. Maybe MC doesn't vote for Savannah because of the entire situation with the idol. You had that awkward moment of Savannah catching MC with the keys and standing over her as she acquired her idol there. That could be enough to cause MC to go another direction. But I think that MC was voted out far back enough to the point where she has time to really accept that loss and respect the gameplay. And even in the scenario where MC votes for Rizzo and you get a 4-4 split, Soph becomes the tiebreaker. And I think that Soph would vote for Savannah over Rizzo in a final tribal. There's my spiel. That's how I think Savannah's going to win. But it sounds like you agree that Savannah's winning in that scenario then, even though you opened the episode with saying there is no way Rizzo does not win this game.
That's the hard part. It feels like vibes versus reality here, where the vibes carried me out of this episode going, Rizzo, Rizzo, Rizzo. And then like lemmings went off a cliff into, and you know, the inevitable force of gravity is Savannah. But the vibes are going to carry Rizzo. Those lemmings then paraglide into Survivor 50, right?
Blame you though. I feel like there is that mean girl narrative around Savannah, but I think it's built primarily by 2 contestants in Christina and Sage. But she doesn't need every jury vote to win.
Yeah, and to be honest, I feel like Sage has burned a lot of bridges. And Sage is not going to have enough time at Ponderosa to repair relationships and then convince people to turn on Savannah, right? Yeah. She can't do both in the time she has. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a Savannah win. I'm going to be very curious to see how it shakes out. Who knows? There could be a crazy twist.
Final 2? That'd be kind of crazy.
Imagine if they did that for 50.
I think that might have been something that we voted on for 50. I need to go back and check. I don't remember.
I don't think so. I think the 50 votes were way more, superficial than that.
They were, what color should we make the tribes? That's everything for this week, though. Next week, it will be me and Alexis on the podcast. Jack will be AFK for that one. He will be texting me his winner ranking and his season ranking, hopefully before we record. So at least I can share that information with the audience and give them some insight into how you were feeling about the finale.
Yeah, happy holidays, everybody. Great season. Sorry I can't be here next week. I've got to be on a plane at our normal recording time, and I tried to convince Clyde to do a 6 a.m. record, and he didn't want to for some reason. So
I wonder why.
Shout out to Alexis for filling in for me, but this is our 9th season, Clyde. Can you believe?
I thought it was number 10.
44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, Samoa, Panama, Cook Islands, China.
10 seasons, right?
10 seasons!
Look at that.
God. We did it.
Us.
Well,
20%
I did it.
of the way through.
1/5 into this eternal journey. Thank you all for joining us. If you started listening to the podcast this year, or if you've been a ride or die, I'm just giving my whole end of year spiel now. Yeah, really grateful for you all. Most grateful for my brother through this whole thing, my co-pilot, my co-host, the Lord, Jesus Christ. And then also for Clyde, who's been here too. But great season. We'll see what happens with Savannah, and then we'll have to come up with something fun to fill the gap because I don't know when 50 is going to premiere.
It's end of February, so we got like 2 months in between.
Oh, it's not that long. We'll do a 3-hour premiere.
Yeah. Buckle up, Jack. It's going to be a doozy of a season. 24 contestants, 3-hour premiere. You're going to need to watch on 3 times speed.
It's the big one, baby. I'm excited. We'll see. Well, Clyde will see you next week, but we'll see you in 50.